everyone. Carmen here, managing digital editor at Ms. And I am here with Latreice Branson, who welcomed all of us to the last day of the National Sexual Assault Conference today with that amazing performance. So thank you for that, and thank you for being here. And yeah, I guess what brings you to the conference? Let's start there. How do you end up at the 2019 NSAC?
I still don't know how I ended up here, to be honest. But if I were to think about it, I believe that I ended up here because someone must have been touched by the work. And I always say it's not who you know or even who knows you, but who can speak about your work in your absence. And so I'm assuming that someone might have heard a drum or heard me sing or came to a jam or a march, and they told somebody that told somebody. And but I'm here. But it was a surprise to know why I was being invited here. And as a survivor of sexual abuse and even domestic violence, to open a conference like this is it's so stirring. And at first, the invitation almost felt uncomfortable because although it's something that I speak about and very public about, I had never attended a conference on the topic.
Yeah.
And so even to be here and be in space with so many humans who care so much about making sure that we break through and get beyond the breakthrough into the next part of our work felt like being here was me breaking through into the next phase of my own work. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Oh, I love that. Well, and I've been asking folks sort of what the theme Beyond the Breakthrough really means to them. So what did you hope that you could bring with your performance to that sort of mission of pushing through and continuing this work and sort of taking it to the next level moving forward?
Yeah, I think the breakthrough in my work is about having ugly experiences, uncomfortable experiences, being able to speak truthfully about it, not just to other people, but I'm grateful that I have been able to confront every person in my life that abused me. And that confrontation for me was an initial breakthrough. And for many of us, there are going to be several breakthroughs. Yeah. A confrontation is a breakthrough. Speaking to your family is a breakthrough. Speaking to those who we are in relationships with in the beginning about what we're still breaking through is also another type of breakthrough. And today on stage, it was about being able to express the joy after the breakthrough. And beyond the breakthrough is not allowing our circumstances or the things that we have experienced to define us, but to motivate us and to be a beam of light, hopefully that people can see something through something I sung or just the pitter-patter of my drum that encourages them to make some noise in their breakthrough. That the breakthrough isn't, well, I'm really excited to be here. Gone through so much, but that we can be bold in it, that we can be colorful in it. And that's what it felt like up there. And I was shocked at the response. And even that for me was just a humbling experience to have songs that I had written right after confronting and remembering abuse. The song that My Child, Your Work Is Never Done, I wrote that at 19 after a boyfriend said, go to your family reunion and watch out for your cousins. And that reminded me of what I experienced as a child. And it led me into all types of traumatic experiences because I had displaced it happily, actually.
Yeah.
So then to come and write a song about knowing that God was telling me that my work wasn't going to be done. Like, yes, you're going to have to get through this because someone else is going to need you. And most importantly, get to the point where you can accept you enough to realize you need you and I need you to move forward in a work that may be uncomfortable, to say things that no one might have said before, and to do so with boldness and assurance and with might. And if there's anything I could do with my platform, is to be bold in everything and in every stage of the breakthrough, and being a Black woman and being a musician and being a daughter, a sister, a friend. We have to break through also together. And that's why I wanted us to all participate in creating a sound together. And I feel like the sound we created sounded like a breakthrough.
Yes. Oh my God. Like everything you said, I'm like, yes, I love it. Yes. But I do. And I also, you know, how has your music and your performance sort of been part of your journey to healing, your journey to getting to those, I mean, you know, you've touched on it a little bit, but how intertwined is that too? Because I've talked to a lot of creative folks who are doing creative work, and that always comes up, this idea of like, you know, this work is healing for me too, even if it also can be healing and a breakthrough for an entire room.
Well, when you're on the airplane, they always remind you that if you hit some turbulence and something happens, what do you do first?
You take care of yourself.
You take care of yourself. So in my performance, you might have noticed that I came up and I drummed really to myself first.
I love it.
And even before I came up to do that in front of you all, I had already drummed to myself first. And when I first began even saying that I drummed like a lady, I was by myself. And I began inviting these other musicians to create improvisational music with me. And where we did it was usually in spaces that were dark and dim. I didn't want to really look at them. I didn't want to feel like I was performing for anyone, but that I was expressing myself in the presence of other people. And that, you know, lets some of the nerves off. And I was inviting others who were like myself at the time. I have a long-standing history with mental illness, have been diagnosed with all types of weird things. And some that I believe, some that I know to be true, and some that I felt were just a therapist's idea of medicating my emotions. So when I started doing these jams, they were in my home, and I would only invite those that I knew through conversation, that were dealing with depression, who were also sick, who may have even had undiagnosed illness, because undiagnosed illness also leads to a lot of depression. And the music we made sounded beautiful. So I didn't really want to play with anybody that felt they were normal. I still really don't. I like playing with folks that have some challenges and who can admit that they have challenges and can still find beauty in that. And that's what lends me to creating music with anyone. I've had people ask, well, how do you create music? And people don't even know what to do. You guide them, you welcome them into even a mistake. And you know, you might have noticed I had the whole crowd doing things, and I went back to a section that is sort of lost where their sound was. And I didn't say, oh, you all messed up. I just went over and encouraged them back into the sound. So that's something that I had to learn through doing this for years. I love it. It brings me so much joy. And even leading up to these types of events, I still have to work through panic attacks. I still may not sleep because it's something important. And managing bipolar depression without medicine means I have to call family members and cry in order to perform today at an event about sexual assault. I have been crying for days because it brings up some stuff. Yeah. And it gives me a sense of a higher purpose, and making sure that even in the tones that I use when I sing, that it can speak to the heart of someone who may not have activated their voice as far as what has happened to them, what they want next for themselves, what they imagine their work to do, how they wanted to make an impact. And there may have been hundreds of women in that room that are doing work that they still didn't give voice to. You know, we can be helping all kinds of people and still not give voice to our own hurt and what we need. So I want folks to see through the performance to take care of yourself first. That's going to allow us to be the best advocates. It's going to allow us to be the best performers. the best listeners. And I always say you can only give out of your overflow. So if we keep giving and giving and giving, and now we're depleted, once we're in front of people, we're like, oh my God, I'm just happy to be here. I hope y'all get something out of this. Yeah, I'm tired. Y'all tired. And so I had to cry. I had to weep for today. In some of it, I felt like I was weeping for people in that audience that I'm not going to meet and that may not have been able to activate their tears. And so that's all a part of taking care of me so that I can serve in this work to others.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, there's something, it's always so interesting to me how we come to this event that is literally called the National Sexual Assault Conference. And a lot of times people, when I tell them where I'm going, they're like, whoa, like, that sounds, and I'm like, actually, it's a really uplifting event because I feel like folks at this conference consistently, every time I'm here, I'm struck by just how deeply they believe in and can envision a world without violence, something that seems so impossible on any other Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And also that every year there are performances during these big plenary sessions. So you can have, you know, someone talking about R. Kelly and all of these horrible things right after this amazing performance where we're able to embody ourselves and let out some sound and feel some joy. And I think a lot of times folks, especially in anti-violence work, feel like the joy is, you know, we're not supposed to, you know, you feel bad sometimes tapping into joy or enjoying something when you're doing the work because it feels like this work is so serious, this work is very dark, I shouldn't be enjoying that I'm doing this or engaging in it. And yet we need it, right? We need that radical ability to feel joy. And so it sounds like you work through a lot of that in your practice, that I'm wondering just sort of what strategies do you have for folks who do hard work that is emotionally taxing, but who also want to continue being able to tap into their boldness and their joy and continue being present in their bodies and emotionally without letting that presence also, you know, because sometimes there are things that if we're present with them, if we tap into them, like it's too heavy, it's too hard. Like, how do we navigate that?
It's different for everyone, but I believe and I teach in my wellness seminars that it first starts with your rest. And that we plan work, but we find guilt in planning rest. So you talked about, you know, just being able to give yourself permission for joy. Joy is harder to achieve when you're not rested. Your ability to give of your best is harder when you're not rested. If you come in and you have someone that's dealing with a dark issue and you're still struggling to find your light, their darkness might swallow you up. So rest allows us to replenish. Rest allows us to shed one day and allow hope to fuel us through the night into the next morning. You know, it's a scripture that says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And that rest period is needed to replenish that joy state so that we can function in a state of joy. So even, you know, I'd say like sometimes I have tears and they're hot. And those hot tears, when they come on your face, sometimes they itch, they sting. They're deep, sorrowful tears. And sometimes you have the cool tears. And those are your joy tears, even if it's from something traumatic. But it's something that allows us to feel refreshed. So to get to joy, it starts with our rest. And we have to plan for rest with the same intensity and fervor that we plan work. You know, I sometimes will tell folks in seminars how because you're here today and people in your life know that you're at a conference, they are probably not going to disrupt you with all types of little things that may be happening in their life because they consider your work important. If you said, I'm going on a vacation, I just want some time away. Oh, but while you're there, can you send me this email? Actually, I know you're just resting. So I just sent you like 20 pages just to review while you're laying down. And you will get up, feel like you should because, well, I'm just resting. And we undermine rest. We, it's like we shouldn't be enjoying it so much. So I start telling people I'm in a meeting, even if the meeting is with me, myself, and the beach. And I'm in that meeting, and no one's going to disturb me when I'm in my meeting. If you call, hi, how are you doing? I'm going to get back to you because I'm in a meeting. Oh, I'm so sorry for disrupting you. So, I encourage those of us that are in this work, in the healing work and in restoration work, to plan our rest, to not find guilt in our rest and it suppress everything I'm saying right now. I'm still working on. It's still a practice. And the vulnerability in our work is to admit that we need the same things that we recommend to other people. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to tell a friend, like, girl, just take some time for yourself. Meanwhile, we know we are not resting. It's reflecting in our spirit, in our tone, in the way that we interact with those who are close to us. We can become cranky and cantankerous, but will someone else, oh God, don't even let them get to you. But we won't let that into ourselves. And so I'm working constantly to try my best to just stay restful so that I can stay peaceful, that I'm replenished constantly, that I keep myself watered. And that's not something we can just do by ourselves. It may take a conversation with our mothers to water us. It may take a conversation with the friend that cares most about you to water you. Coming to a conference where you can hear other stories and see these powerful speakers and orators and performers is watering. So we have to stay watered. You know, we see the rain and people are like, I can't stand the rain. I'm like, well, but do you not like things being watered? You know, we need it.
Yeah.
We need to be watered. And through that, it gives us the freedom and the flexibility to continue in this work without being worn out and worn down. And it takes work.
Yes. Well, and speaking of continuing in this work, today is the day that everyone gets to go home and rest.
Yes.
Conference ends at 12:30. But what, and I feel like this feels kind of like a drum pun. I hope it doesn't come off as a cheesy drum pun, but what do you hope the reverberations of the work you're doing and the work that folks are here to do, this sense of making noise, taking up space, feeling joy, doing something bold? You know, last year's National Sexual Assault Conference theme was bold moves. Like this idea of like, no, let's try some new stuff. Let's do something that feels different and just see if it works out. And, you know, what do you hope the reverberations of this idea of going beyond the breakthrough and of your performance this morning can be as folks sort of head back home to continue doing this work and, you know, carrying new ideas and new inspirations? And
I would hope that we would all leave to go into our rest with the place to meditate on how being more emboldened in our own work can have the greatest effect on the next generation. If I'm excited that we're now in a time in our society where children are hearing discussions about sexual assault. And I'm talking little children. I'm happy that little children know about a Kavanaugh case. I am happy that little children may have even stumbled across an R. Kelly documentary. I am grateful that the little children may hear about the devastation of playing house, that little children will know the terms to identify sexual assault, molestation, groping, that children will know these terms, that they can use it, and that it won't be something that they are hushed about, silenced about, that they are in fear of, but that they feel more powerful because they can say no. The breakthrough that we're going to experience is making sure that our children don't have to feel this pain, that it is not something that we will ever expect for the next generation in this country or anywhere else. And if we are going to go beyond the breakthrough, I would hope that everyone that was in that room gets home and is able to be in the presence of a child to know their story. And it's tough to think of a 5-year-old child having to hear of an aunt or an uncle being sexually abused. But if they hear about it, when they feel it starting to happen, why are you trying to sexually abuse me? Are you trying to assault me? Now, I wish I had the words to say, are you trying to assault me? But most of us were silent.
Yeah.
Most of us were frozen because there were no words we already had in our vocabulary for what was being felt, what was being experienced, or even the aftermath of all the other emotions and turmoil, and not knowing who to talk to, not knowing who's going to come to my defense, not knowing if I'm going to be believed or not. Many of us got into our 30s and 40s before we ever felt we could say anything. Then it took years after that to really believe that we were even believed, so that we can then work through the healing after someone finally believed us. So if the children that are coming up now know that they are going to be believed, that they have the vocabulary to talk about their experiences, and that we can expect good for them, that we can expect for even young boys to have these discussions, that these are not discussions to be left to one gender or the other, to tell girls no one should touch you, but to tell young boys, enjoy yourself. The message has to be consistent. So beyond the breakthrough is making sure that the message is consistent, that we are very bold in the terms that we use, that we don't play around with it because it's not a game, and that we can continue to have joy, unspeakable joy in doing this work, that we will look great while doing this work, that we will feel wonderful while doing this work, that we are done with this work, we'll take vacations from this work, get back to the work, and continue to thrive. That is what it means to get beyond a breakthrough to me.
Oh my God, thank you so much. That was incredible. I'm having like so many, I feel like I just want to like clap for you, see the stage, walk off screen. Thank you. Thank you so much. This was an amazing conversation. I'm so glad you were here today. And thank you for sharing your music with us and letting us share in that moment with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.